everyone. I'm Katie.
I'm Dave. Welcome back to another episode of the Katie Yoga Australia Sunday.
Yeah, today we're looking at why do we partially open the nostril in alternate nostril breathing or Nadi Shodhana.
But before that, a big shout out to our listeners. A huge thank you for the continuing support for the community channel.
Yeah, thank you.
It's overwhelming, guys, and I really appreciate it. But before we dive in, if you'd like to know more about us, then have a look at our website listed in the description below. That's got our bricks and mortar studio. Read about who we are and subscribe for access to our online content. It's only $15 a month, and that's 1.5 cups of coffee these days. It's not that much, and you get access to so many videos. All our episodes from the YouTube are available on podcast, and you can get those at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It makes a perfect way to learn as you commute in your daily life. To make sure you don't miss an episode, subscribe or follow this community channel. Perhaps even go over to our website, join our mailing list to receive emails for upcoming workshops, promotions, and most importantly, become part of the Katie Yoga community.
Thanks, Dave.
Should we get into it?
Let's.
Yeah.
But also, if you haven't watched our episode on why do we roll to the right side at the end of yoga class, that would be a really good one to watch, because what we're going to talk about today relates to that.
Absolutely. And just so you know, that's our very first episode.
Yeah.
That's our very first one. So that's very exciting. So shall we get into it?
Yes.
Excellent. Katie, what is Nadi Shodhana?
So Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. It's a pranayama technique, a breathing practice that we where we block one nostril and breathe out and in through the other, and then switch sides. We block the other nostril, breathe out and in. So Nadi Shodhana, if we broke down the words, Nadi are lines of energies in our body or channels, it can be translated to. And Shodhana means to cleanse or to purify.
Okay.
So with Nadi Shodhana, we'd alternate each side. So you breathe through one side out and in, and then the other out and in.
Yep.
And that's one round. And then we might do up to maybe 8 rounds.
Okay, so that's a pranayama practice.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So how's it done?
So we block the nostril. There are a couple of things we can do. We can take this mudra here.
And a mudra is a hand gesture.
A hand gesture, yeah. So we can take this mudra, which is Nasagra mudra, and take the thumb on one side of the nose, ring finger on the other, not down low, sort of halfway up the nostril, roughly where the bone and cartilage meet. So you can take this mudra, or another example of how to set up is to have the index and middle finger on the forehead and the thumb and ring finger on either side of the nose. So we would, you can we usually start on the left side, and you can breathe, take an inhale and partially open the left nostril while you fully block the right.
Yeah. And
breathe out through the left.
So it's a partial blockage, it's not total.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, because it doesn't always mention that in some of the instructions when you read it.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I noticed you using that particular hand gesture or mudra. Mm-hmm. Are there any others?
Yeah, so that one or this other one I demonstrate before, Nasagra mudra.
All right, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nasagra mudra.
I'm not going to attempt that one.
Or it's sometimes called Nasikagra.
Awesome. So what are the benefits of that?
Of
doing
alternate nostril breathing?
Yeah.
So it's a really beautiful calming pranayama. It can help to relieve anxiety.
Yeah.
It can decrease our pulse rate, our respiratory rate, and our diastolic blood pressure.
Yeah.
It helps to improve concentration. So it's a really lovely practice to do prior to meditation as well.
Yeah.
It brings the autonomic nervous system into balance, so we feel rested but alert. In an energetic level, if we're talking yogic physiology, we're balancing the flow of energy between Ida and Pingala
and that's
nadis.
The bit that's in that first episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit today, I think, as well. So we're balancing Ida and Pingala and the flow of energy between these two nadis, which is quite important in a yogic physiology context.
Yeah.
I also read somewhere in a book, on a quit smoking book, it was in there as a technique to help you with quit smoking.
It'd be a powerful way to distract you.
Because if you think if you're smoking, you're using your hand. So you've got that habit of doing something with your breath, with your hand.
Yeah.
But it's just doing it in a different
way.
More health-focused way.
Okay. And so where would you find more about this listed? Is it in any of the texts from the...
Yeah. So Nadi Shodhana, it's actually the first pranayama or breathing technique that's listed in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very old text and it's in there.
And I also believe too that it's been, mentioned a few times as being for all the pranayama techniques, it's probably the top of the list in terms of
cleansing and purification.
Yeah. Absolutely. So why do we partially open the nostril?
So to before we get to that, I think we need to sort of nut out nasal laterality, which is our nostril dominance, so Svara dominance. So if you just test, it's great.
I've got a nasal. What do they call it?
Polyp?
No, it's not a polyp. It's a deviation.
Deviated septum.
Deviated septum. So yeah.
So my right one's more blocked than my left one. My left one's more open.
Yeah, believe it or not, this technique actually does help me with that.
Does it?
Absolutely. Particularly the psychic version, but we won't go into that today, I don't think. So yeah.
So when we're breathing, we're not constantly breathing through both nostrils equally all the time. They oscillate, the dominance oscillates from side to side every 1 to 6 hours, depending on the individual. And we're not the only animals that this happens to. It's also been reported in pigs and rabbits and rats as well.
Yeah, I first had that confirmed at a doctor appointment once regarding my nostril. I had a medical student in there and the doctor was just explaining what you just said, but he didn't mention the other animals. So that was pretty cool. Yeah,
so we change dominance in our nostril and you can test it throughout the day, become a little bit more aware. What activities are you doing when the left is more open? What activities are you doing when the right's more open? So the left nostril is linked energetically in a yogic physiology context. The left nostril is linked to Ida Nadi, which is the moon Nadi or Chandra Nadi. And when it's open, we'll feel introspective and intuitive, and it's actually linked to parasympathetic nervous system dominance. So that's the rest and digest branch of the nervous system dominance.
Okay.
So the right nostril is Pingala. Pingala is the solar nadi or Saraya, the sun nadi. So when it's open, we feel extroverted and active, and it's linked in with our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight and flight branch of the nervous system. So in a yogic context where through the practice of yoga and all the different yogic techniques, and in particular Nadi Shodhana, we're trying to balance the flow of energy between these two nadis, Ida and Pingala. And when these two nadis are balanced, then Sushumna Nadi, the main nadi that runs along the spine, which is the fire nadi or Agni Nadi, when Ida and Pingala are flowing and balanced, then Sushumna will start to flow freely. And when Sushumna is flowing, we can achieve deeper meditative states. And it is one of the ways to help us on the path in realizing the self, which is the goal of yoga.
Awesome.
To abide in our true nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's jump back to nasal laterality. So this oscillation, regular oscillation or changing of the flow of breath through alternate nostrils, not by us, just naturally throughout the day, is a sign of good health. It's what we want. So throughout the day, both nostrils will be open at only a very small percentage of the time, only 10% of the time they'll both be open. And when they're both open, we're more easily able to cultivate meditative states because our nervous system is in balance. Our autonomic nervous system is balanced. So In Nadi Shodhana, we're trying to balance the flow of energy between Ida and Pingala nadis. And so, as I said, when Ida and Pingala are freely flowing and balanced, when Ida and Pingala are balanced in their flow of energy, then Sushumna, the main nadi, will open and is active, and we can achieve these meditative states. So back to the question, this partial opening of the nostril. So we're not opening it the whole way as we breathe out and in. We're only partially opening it. And that is to help us regulate the flow of breath through the nostrils.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's a rabbit hole here. I can just feel it, whereby what would have been the benefit to us for survival going back a long time ago for that to actually start happening and continue? Now, everything has to be advantageous for the body. And I'm not going to try and answer the question today and think about it. Just as a rabbit hole, I think it'd be easy to go down.
Yeah. Well, I think of that and we talk about this in the other podcast on lying on your right side. I've often thought like, well, if we've got a cold and we're asleep on the right side, the left nostril's open, so we can still breathe. You don't want to.
You don't want to be like, gummed up.
Yeah. So you can still, obviously you can breathe through your mouth, but you can still breathe through your nose, and you're not trying to breathe when you're sleeping with a cold. But that's a really interesting interesting point. Why did this happen?
Start and continue. So that nasal laterality. So it's an interesting one.
It is. So as I said, we're partially opening the nostril to help regulate the flow of the breath, to make it even through both nostrils, similar to how we would regulate the breath in Ujjayi. So Ujjayi is another pranayama technique where we make a sound. In Ujjayi, we're toning the glottis to again regulate the flow of breath.
Yep. Wow, fantastic. So that's pretty much sums it up, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's a great practice. It's one of my favorite pranayamas. You should definitely jump onto our online classes and practice it with us. I think we've got a video just specifically on Nadi Shodhana and psychic Nadi Shodhana.
And remember, when you hear that word psychic in a yoga context, it doesn't mean the ethereal or anything like that. It means imagined or visualized.
Yeah, so awareness or consciousness. Yeah,
exactly. And as I meant, I've got a deviated septum, which I thought was a polyp for many years, until I actually had a scan. They said, no, your septum's deviated. And so the version using the fingers has never really worked for me that well. But the imagined version, I find that absolutely fantastic.
And the imagined version's great if you've got a cold, or if you're in public and you want to do it because it's so calming and you don't want to do this in
Take it from me, if you do that in front of the freezer section at Woolies during COVID, it's not a good look. It is not a good look. Security come and stand by you.
And that's using the hand gesture for those of you who are listening, not watching.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a question to answer.
A couple of questions from Narelle.
Narelle, thank you for putting these in.
Yeah.
And we do have other questions coming through from people. So
this related to the topic.
And we're going to try and tie the questions in to topics. And then one day we're also just going to have a straight chat, question and answer type thing based on questions. So please put your questions in and we'll get to them when we can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go. Question. Should I ask and you answer?
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Is lying on the right side opening the left nostril meant to reconnect you with the activity of the day as opposed to making you more relaxed?
So my understanding is if we're lying on the right side, we have a reflex response which opens the left nostril.
Yeah.
The left nostril is linked with Ida Nadi, which is, Ida Nadi. The left nostril is linked with Ida Nadi, which is the rest and digest branch of the nervous system.
Yep. So the softer energy. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes called feminine energy or the moon. Yeah. So it's a very calming energy. So we get up out of Shavasana feeling very calm and relaxed.
Yeah. Nice one. Next question. Okay. Because was asked too. So the second one is, does the side you sleep on affect your type of sleep or make it more relaxing, or does it not?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer. I could guess, but it'd just be guessing.
Yeah, and let's not guess. It's,
Yeah,
you
so
know,
I don't know. Yeah.
and that's a great research topic.
Yeah. And if
absolutely.
anyone else out there knows,
Put it down in the comments.
yeah, send
please.
us a line.
So I think
there is
Sorry.
lots of information out there on whether it's better to sleep on your right side or the left side or on your back, and apparently it's not on your belly, but there's lots of different commentary out there.
Yeah.
But that's not so much in a yogic physiology context. Yeah.
Many years ago, I used to work in a bedding store, and we used to do a lot of training on best ways to sleep and postures and things like that to help people select the correct bed. And it was always said sleeping side, back, yes, either or either. But the stomach, never.
Yeah.
Never on the stomach. And by the way, if you're a stomach sleeper, chances are your bed's too hard. But anyway.
Oh, really?
Really. Okay. So I think we've pretty much covered all that again, right? Nice and to the point. And that's not too much fluff. Yay. So if you've enjoyed this discussion, please become one of the KD Yoga community by liking, subscribing or following. Maybe even go to our website. Join our email newsletter for upcoming workshops and retreats. Okay. Maybe hold off on that one for a little bit on the email. Is that correct? Because we're about to change email suppliers. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we're changing over email.
Yeah, so just hold off on the email just for now, but do be aware that it's there.
But if you're watching this 5 years in the future.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So remember, this is, today. All right.
This is the day.
And today is the day that we're doing it, not that you might be watching it. Smooth as. I like it. We do, in our newsletter, we put out upcoming workshops, retreats, things like that.
We do.
And the information that comes out it's sort of relevant to.
And I always put in amazing recipes.
Amazing recipes. And most of them are kind of either vegan or if they're not vegan, they're vegetarian. So
or have No, they're always vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just always those. And, I won't go on about it. It tastes really good, all this stuff that comes through. Check out the description for the information and links that we've discussed in this episode. And guys, thank you so much again for watching or listening.
If you're practicing this week, jump into a class with us face to face. We're doing Nadi Shodhana.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think of anybody who might like to listen or expand their knowledge or maybe learn about rabbit holes to go down, please recommend us.
There's one last thing I would like to say.
Yep.
With the Nadi Shodhana technique, you can start either on an exhale or an inhale.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Awesome.
But you're breathing out and then in through one nostril and then out and then in through the other. So if you start on an inhale, you switch straight away over to the other side.
Awesome. So if you've stopped listening or watching before we've got to that, you won't know about that.
No.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye.